wide receiver, man, that's another area of concern for the Oklahoma Sooners because Brent Venables was not super specific on Nick Anderson's timeline as well. And we'll discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So the Oklahoma Sooners have had wide receiver problems all summer and to the start of the season, all for months, for 2 months now. It seems like they've had wide receiver problems. So right now we're rolling with Deion Burks in the slot, Brennan Thompson on one side of the field, and then mystery tag team partner on the other side of the field. And Brent Venables was asked about Nick Anderson and basically said, hey, I don't know really what to tell you. We're getting close, but I don't have a definitive timeline. Basically, that's kind of what he said. So I don't feel 100% comfortable saying Nick Anderson's going to be back this week even. I hope he's back. They could really use him, but I don't know if he's going to be back. And so here we are yet again, going into another game, not feeling comfortable with the wide receiver options outside of Deion Burks. And listen, Brennan Thompson, I think he's getting better each week. He was a little bit better this week than he was last week, but there's a lot of work to do. There's more chemistry to develop. But we need our 798 yard, 10 touchdown, averaging 23 yards per reception, Nick Anderson back.
Oh, no, I agree. The big thing is that Deion Burks has been the main guy. And as I've talked about before, teams know that. Yep. So they're keying in on him, right? They're bracketing the heck out of him, and they're making sure that he's not able to do it. And so without Nick Anderson, if we could get either him or Andrel Anthony, I think things start to open up more for what Jackson Arnold's trying to figure out and do, right? It's really hard when the guys you worked out with in camp, both camps, and all you got is one of them out of the four that you thought you were going to be able to go around with, right? Now, I know that he had built some chemistry with J.J. Hester. The trust may not be there as much because of the drop passes in the first game, but at this point, put him back in and throw him the ball. Just say, look, man, I'm going to throw you the ball. You need to catch it. And just jump on him like that. And I think you'll get it, right? Just, dude, you're a 4-4 guy. I can go deep to you at some point. Just catch the ball across the middle. Use your body. Secure that thing. Fall down if you need to. Find ways to get, and I think that's where Jackson's going to have to show his leadership is, finding ways to get these guys the ball in more secure spots. Like, you don't have to always go for yak. If you throw it to them and they slide to the ground and catch it and get like 6 yards, you're winning, right? Especially if the defense is trying to press up. We all know that Tulane's secondary is pretty questionable. Kansas State was out there cooking them. We have a good chance of trying to do something big against them. And you don't have to be gimmicky at all. You just need to go out there and just physically outdo them. And having Nick would be amazing for the confidence boosts. But honestly, I would rather have Andrel Anthony right now.
So with Andrel Anthony, I'm not sure how soon we're going to get him back to 100%. You know, I mean, they say he's 100%. They say he's good to go, but he's still trying to work through the confidence that knee's going to be good. You know, that's why that year timeline generally exists, is because not only is it the healing from the surgery and the recovery and the physical therapy and all of that, it's developing the mental capacity to trust that the knee's going to be okay and it's not going to go out on you again. So hopefully he can get there quick, because they're going to need him at some point, and hopefully sooner rather than later. But I'm not going to put a whole lot of faith in him being ready to go until we see him out on the field and he looks like the Andrel Anthony that was leading the Sooners in receiving last year. You know, the guy that was getting open down the field, the guy that was winning on the slant. I mean, he was winning in a number of areas of the passing game, not just as the deep ball guy, but he was just winning in a lot of ways. And that's what made him so effective. He looked like a true number one wide receiver that could win in every area of the route tree. So get him back, 100% get him back. But I'm ready to get the guy back that was doing that kind of stuff last year, was showing the awareness and the capacity to come back for an underthrown Dylan Gabriel deep ball, that kind of stuff. Like, he's not, you know, he has the football IQ as well as the physical ability to go be a big time difference maker for Jackson Arnold. And that would do wonders for the passing game to have somebody of Anthony's football IQ in addition to his ability, just because you know that, hey, if this is supposed to be a 3-yard slant, Anthony's going to run it 3 yards in slant. If this is supposed to be a 20-yard post, it's going to be 20 yards post into the second hash. He's not going to round it off. He's going to run it exactly how it needs to be run and then go get the football. So I want that dude back. I just need him back 100%.
Yeah, and that was the thing that Andy Murray pointed out too about the other wide receivers as well, was it was certain routes they were running is based upon the way what the defense was giving them. It was like, look, if you would have gone out more to this side, he would have drawn that safety in, and this pocket in the middle would have been wide open. And so he kind of broke up and pointed that out, and that's where you could see the inexperience at wide receiver, more so with BT as well as you had JJ was a little bit inexperienced. Zion Raging, you could tell that he was inexperienced. Those outside guys, you can tell that they didn't have the experience to think, oh, if I go this way, I'm going to pull that guy here. If I go here, they're going to give me this look. That was some of the stuff that he was pointing out. And that's kind of why I'm like, I want Andrel Anthony back, because you get him in, like you said, he is really good at route running. He's also good at masking his routes. You put him out there with Burks, they'll be able to really confuse some of those secondary players. And Jackson Arnold will have quicker options in where he can go to. You can hit the guy underneath. You can hit one on the corner route because they're following the wide receiver going across the middle, thinking that they're going to go short. You need guys to be able to leverage that football IQ of understanding proper spacing, running those routes properly, hitting the curl when they need to, knowing the ball's coming to them. That's some of the components that we're kind of missing out there. And that's no shade to the wide receivers. A lot of that stuff is really from experience, right? It's something that you get from watching and playing a whole bunch of football. They're now at the collegiate level. It's going to take some time to get to that point of breakdown, which I know Emmett Jones is probably teaching them a lot of it. But for them to act on it on their own, it's going to take some time for them to get to the confidence that it's okay to do this, because they see that, okay, if I run this route this way and pull it, that's where, like I said, Andrel Anthony to me would be probably the biggest addition right now. He'll do that. Nick, of course, gives you the jump ball ability on top of the ability to run routes. But you having Andrel just run those, that's where Jalil Farouk was really big, because he could hit those routes and draw in the defenders. We saw Deion Burks do it, and I'm going to keep referring to that cross route because Adam Murray showed that point, the exact same one. He's like, this was amazing. The pocket was just enough time. When Burks was yanking both those dudes on that bracket defense, as they were both watching them, BT did the perfect route, and Jackson put it right at the spot it needed to be, where he was the only one that could catch it. And he hauled it in. We need more of that, John. We need guys that can do that every single time they get on the field. Not just sometimes, but every time.
Yeah, because sometimes your responsibility in the route concept is to create space for other people
exactly
in the route concept. Whether it's a dagger, whether it's an over route or a corner post combo, a scissors combination, whatever it is. And yeah, having that experience in Andrel Anthony would help a lot. So here's hoping that one or both of these guys can be available this week against Tulane, because I think it'd go a long way to helping the Oklahoma Sooners offense against the Green Wave. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts for free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Go follow Jay at Unfair Sports, myself at John 9 Williams. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all the social media platforms. Go check it out. Again, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And again, shout out to all the everydayers out there as well. For your second listen, go check out Locked On College Football Podcast. From NIL deals to never-ending conference realignment rumors, Spencer McLaughlin gets you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron. You can find the link to the Locked On College Football Podcast in the description, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. But for Jay Smith, I'm John Williams. Be sure to be around for the SEC Roundtable that's going to be coming up later this week in your feeds as well. But until then, Boomer
Sooner.